Hello and welcome. The Object.entries method is a new add-on feature to ECMAScript 2017, also referred to as ES8. The Object.entries method basically returns an array whose elements are arrays corresponding to the enumerable property key value pairs found directly upon the object. The ordering of the properties is the same as that given by looping over the properties value of the object manually. So if you were to loop through the property values of the object manually, the ordering will be in the same way. So let's create a new object using a const. So I'm going to type in const and I'm going to call it my object. I'm going to set that to equals to an object, and I'm going to call it foo, and it's going to have the following properties or the following values. Foo is going to be the key, and then these are the values. We've got bar, that's one. Second, the second key is going to be BAZ, and the value, I'm going to make this a numerical number. So here I've got two, for this object I've got two key value pairs. The key here for foo has a value of bar, and I've got another key here called baz, and I'm giving it a value of 47. So what I can do here, I can console log and add the Object.entries method to check the values. So let's do that. So I'll type in console.log, and I will pass in the Object.entries method, and for that Object.entry method I'm going to pass in the name of my const, which is called my object. Okay, and I am going to add a value of 1 for the array. I'm going to wrap it round the closing parentheses, and I'm going to press enter. And what this will do, it should return an array with the values of this, with value of baz and 47. Okay, there you go. So it's giving me here, I'll specify that I want the array with the index 1. Now array is 0 base index, so this will be, if we look in the result, you can see it tells you here that 0 belongs to baz and 1 is 47. So you can see here it has returned baz and 47, yes, which matches this value. Number 1 here, the key is 47, index key is 47. That's what I've asked for here. So it has returned the key, the value here, the index 47, and it returned the corresponding key. So this is the key, that is the value, because I've specified that this is the element I want to retrieve from this object. So let me add another example. I'm going to create another object using a const. So I'll call it my object number 2, and I'll set that to equals 2. This time I'm going to use numbers as the key, and I'll use text as the value. So that's the first pair. Second pair, I'll say 4, and I give this the value of B. I'll add one more. I'll make this 7, and I'll give it a value of C. So I will now close that curly brace, add a semicolon. So now I can do a console.log and attach the Object.entries method. So I'll say Object.entries, and inside the parentheses for the Object.entries, I will pass in the name of my object, which I have called my object. It's important to maintain the casing you have called. For example, I've used a capital M and capital O. So if I come here and use something different, it will not recognize that. So very important to specify the way you have declared it. So that's it there. And then this time I'm going to add the value of the array I want to retrieve. So I want to retrieve from this value the value that matches an index of 0. So if I press enter, it tells me here that 4 and B, this is the key, and this is the value that matches this criteria of 0. So let me expand that so you can see clearly here the 0 index goes to 4, and the B is basically the value. So 4 is the key and B is the value. You can see here this matches the index. So that's just a quick couple of examples of how the object entry method works. I hope it makes sense. If it doesn't, please let me know. Thank you for watching, and bye for now. Hello and welcome. The object value method is a new add-on feature to the ECMAScript version 2017, also known as ES8. So what is the object value method? The object value method basically returns an array whose elements are the enumerable property values found on the object. The ordering of the properties is the same as that given by looping over the property values of the object manually, just like you would do when you're using a loop. So let me show you how the Object.values method work by creating a new variable object. So I'm going to create a new variable using a const, and I'm going to call it my object, and I'll set that to equals 2, and I'll specify some basic objects here. So I'll say A, and I'll give it a value of hello, put a comma, I'll create another one, I'll call this B, and I'll make this a numerical. I'll give it value of 47. I'll create another one called C, and I'll give it a Boolean value of false. All right. I don't need the semicolon at the end. I just need to close the curly brace and add a semicolon. So to use the Object.values method, I can console log, type in console.log, and inside the console.log, I will use the Object.values, and I will pass in the name of my variable here, which is my object, and I'll press enter. You can see here it has returned the values. It gives me the first values hello, 47, and false. So it tells me here that we have an array of 3, so it returned an array. So it has returned an array of this object. So these are the indexes in the array. The first element will be 0. The index of the second element will be 1. Index of the third element will be 2. So these 3 here indicates that it has created an array and with 3 elements. And these are the values from this object, hello, 47, and false. So that's just a basic example of how the Object.values work. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.